The Everything PT podcast is sponsored by VALD Performance. VALD is the creator of the airbands for blood flow restriction therapy. If you are looking to stay up to date with today's post-surgical modalities and adding VFR to your clinic, please visit valdperformance.com.
This podcast is sponsored by CSMI, the maker of the HUMAC Norm isokinetic system. Purchase a new or refurbished machine, or you can even upgrade an existing system to bring it up to date with all the latest testing and training applications. Please visit csmisolutions.com to view all of their available products, including the HUMAC Norm isokinetic system, the HUMAC Balance portable computerized balance system, and Sportswear Online. CSMI, better data leads to better results.
Hello, and welcome to the Everything PT podcast with Matt Taylor and Daniel Bodkin. Please do not consider anything you hear to be medical advice. Just a couple of guys ranting about everything PT. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Everything PT podcast. This is episode 17. I am Daniel Bodkin. I am joined by Matthew Taylor. Hey, Matt.
Hello, Daniel. How you doing,
How's
buddy?
it going? Good, man.
Good.
I finished Obi-Wan last night.
Nice.
Yeah.
I finished it too. I'm caught up.
God, I mean, for those who
Good.
want to watch it, they'll have seen it. But I just must say, it really got me in the feels.
I know. I just feel like Obi-Wan should have taken Anakin out, when he had the chance, but he's just not, that's not the kind of guy he is.
You never know. Spoiler alert. He may have killed Darth Vader.
He might be dead already. Who knows?
Yeah, I was out traveling. I had an install in Napa Valley this weekend for isokinetics, and I was in Tampa filming some lectures for one of the education companies I work for. So I had a lot of time. I got caught up on Netflix, but Stranger Things. Haven't finished that yet, but it's getting good, man.
Okay. I'll leave out the part where 11 dies. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That doesn't happen.
All right, so we got a good topic today.
Yeah.
Everything home exercise programs.
Home exercise. I basically just tell the patient, do a few mini squats and just give it about a month and see what happens. So,
well, it's funny because when I first came out, a lot of the therapists I was with, and I think this is common, they would give a person all these different exercises. And I did it too. It's like, okay, for a low back patient, we got to do an exercise, for your mobility. We got to do an exercise to stabilize your spine. We got to give you exercises for your sciatic nerve glide. We have to give you an exercise for any tightness, those stretches. And at that point, a lot of people initially would do it, but you're throwing all this time at them. And especially now that I have kids and I'm working, I ain't got time for that.
Anybody got time for that? Well, you're basically trusting the patient with their own healthcare, and that's initially why they come to you. I have had really different thoughts about this, and I've really evolved over the years. So when I first came out, I was under the impression that, we need to make the patient as independent as possible. They need to do as much on their own as possible, load them up with a home program. Pardon me. But the older I get, the more I realize, at least in West Virginia, patients cannot be trusted. You know who you are out there. They can't be trusted. Now, listen, if you get a savvy personal trainer in the clinic and they're like, man, my knee's jacked up. So can you help me? Yeah, I give them a big list of stuff. But the typical, Joe Schmo, weekend warrior, I don't know if they can be trusted with more than one thing to do that's really important for home program.
So you just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I'm thinking about it now. It's like, look, let's give them one thing to do this week.
What's it? I can trust you with one thing. That's it.
Just do this one thing. It's almost like if you give them too much, they're not going to do any of it. But look, just
you have one job, Karen. One job.
But it also depends on them. Sometimes they have more time and they're good. So you can give them more, but lots of times they're struggling just to find 5 minutes just to, for themselves already.
Yeah. Listen, I've done some acute care at some hospitals, and those patients leave with so much therapeutic advice. I mean, Daniel, it's like a half an inch thick.
You don't
of
read that
stuff. And I was like, and they get to outpatient and I'm like, okay, what do you know about this? And I comb through it. There's 12 exercises to do. And they're like, I don't know. That's just so much. I didn't look at it at all. I'm like, well, that's not good. Let's get you 1 page of exercise. How's that?
The KISS principle.
Yeah. So we end up throwing the book away. Usually.
Yeah. Well, then another thing to think about, I was always, I mean, I never heard this too much, but I heard it all the time being said to other therapists, or if I was working with somebody else's patients, they'd say, well, I'm already doing these exercises at home. And, if I ever heard that, I kind of took that as an insult, not from them on me, but, me on me. It's like, well, you're right. Why am I being lazy and just having you do the same things in the clinic that you're already doing at home? Yeah. So why would I give them 8 different interventions especially if they're things that I'm going to be doing in the clinic with them, 2 to 3 times a week anyway.
Yeah. We treat our professional athletic population. I mean, those guys get treated twice a day, every day to do as much as they can to get back. And yet we're going to try to see our patient, once a week, and I'm going to build you up this big list. Don't get me wrong. In some situations, that's very appropriate and indicated. Yeah. But not often for me,
Well, especially if you have that patient, they're coming in once a week.
Yeah. Paying cash, maybe.
Yeah. Either they're paying cash or, they're a total knee patient. So they started out with you 3 times a week for 2 weeks, and then they went to twice a week for 8 weeks. Sure. And now they're on their final, month of rehab. So you're just doing once a week at that point, just so you can spread out their visits, hopefully, get them a little bit more function. So at that point, here, since you're not doing it in here, you need to be doing this at home. And that also kind of helps cement their program for after they're done anyway, gets them in the habit of doing it.
No doubt. I want to go back and revisit the one exercise, and that really forces you as a clinician to prioritize your patient and see okay, this patient is really lacking X. Let's have them work on X. And if they can accomplish this at home in a safe way, that is good. That's a really good thing. That's going to help us, meet their goals or whatever we're trying to do. So
you could also even spread it out. Let's stick with low back pain. So let's say you have somebody with lumbar radiculopathy. You can be like, you know what, throughout the day, you need to be doing extensions, because that's going to help your symptoms. It's going to help it heal. So, but once a day, I also want you to do this. And we'll have that be on Monday. I'm going to see you Tuesday. So you don't need to do anything other than your lumbar extensions. On Wednesday, I want you to do, we'll see the patient. So I'll say, all right, I want you to do this exercise. So do this for 2 days. I'll see you again Friday, and I'll give you something else to do over the weekend. So it can constantly change.
Yeah.
But again, you're prioritizing, but then, you also have, all right, if you're having a bad day, I don't want you doing these harder exercises. Let's just give you something that's going to make you feel better, to make, that way the bad day becomes a moderate or a good day.
No doubt. Daniel, do you ever get patients that come in there so I'm coming 3 times a week. What else do I need to do? What do I need to do at home? And you tell them, you're just like, relax. You just relax and calm down. You're because you're coming here 3 times a week. We're hitting it. We're hitting the lower body 3 times a week. And I wouldn't train myself more than that. Yeah. So why would we train you more than that?
Exactly. Hey, have one day as a rest day. Use this day to just, let everything calm down and relax. And that'll be typically after one of your rehab session days. So, and then you have the people that go out, and again, I'll use back pain. So that you see them on a Monday and they come back on Thursday. And when they come back, look, oh yeah, I'm hurting. But also, I changed the engine in my old car.
Yeah. So I gardened for 7 hours on
over
Sunday.
For 6 hours. And it's like, man, there's nothing I'm going to give you that is any harder than what you're already doing for yourself. So
agreed.
I don't want to give you.
And they just incredibly overdosed themselves with a workload that blew them up,
Yeah. So. And it's even cool. You can think about what their functional activity is and what they're not able to do. So gardening, right? It's like, all right, I want you to go out and just do gardening. Just go out there, work for 30 minutes, or work till you start to feel a little bit of that pain in your knees or your back, and then stop. Go in, ice your back, and then go out again later in the day. And that's your exercise for the day, because that's getting you back to the function. So you turn the function into the exercise.
That's a great way to segmentally break it down.
Yeah.
I think that's ideal.
And
especially what's important to the patient to do too. Yeah. Because they'll buy into that. If I can get them back to holding their baby again, they're gonna do it. That's important stuff.
Looking for a way to improve sport-specific training with your athletes? Then you have to check out Blaze Pods. Blaze Pods is a neurocognitive reaction training intervention that can be incorporated into your sessions for patients throughout the treatment spectrum. Visit blazepod.com, enter code EVERYTHINGPT at checkout, and save 15% off your order today. Hey, all you rehab specialists out there, do you have an isokinetic dynamometer just sitting around your clinic not being used? Little known fact, isokinetic machines that aren't used regularly are at higher risk for bouts of sadness. Help your machine out and take CSMI's newest CEU course, Isokinetics 101 online, created by me, Daniel Bodkin, and learn how to use all the exercise and testing applications available on your machine. With new and exciting rehab techniques in your toolbox, your sad isokinetic machine can become an active member of the rehab team again and regain its happiness. Isokinetics 101 online by CSMI has been approved for 8 credit hours for athletic trainers, physical therapists, and physical therapy assistants. Contact your state board for details on specific requirements. This course is available at humacnorm.com/courses/isokinetics-101. What about progression? So, what you give them in week 1 or even week 2, and now they're in week 5. I'm not saying ACL or anything like that, just a standard like orthopedic patient. But, it's 4 to 6 weeks since their initial eval, or even 3 or 4 weeks. Should they be doing that same routine?
No, definitely not. I think that's where you want me to go with that. Definitely not. But that's really hard. And I think that's why we have jobs, right? It says that changes also very much. If the patient comes back and they're blown up from just doing their home program and they are able to repeat it in front of me very well, I'm like, okay, we probably should change that. You know? You don't need a 6 or 7 year degree to figure that one out. Let's change this sucker up.
I've been guilty of it too. I'll talk to them like, well, what have you been doing at home? And like, oh, I'm doing all the things that you've given to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I never told you to stop
all of them
doing these. I just said,
all of them.
Here's this exercise. Let's do this. All right, let's start step downs. And never say, you know what, you don't really need to do mini squats anymore. So yeah, I've been guilty of that,
especially like the orthopedic, like total knee injuries. Definitely, like I'll start them with isometrics, muscle pumping exercise, walking. I like to just prescribe timed walking too for home program. That's underrated, I think. And then you're right, I definitely forget to update that to standing squats, step up, step downs, and they end up doing too much every once in a while.
What about our post-surgical patients? What about them?
What kind of surgery?
They have, let's say, a rotator cuff. You can give them more things to do because they have time to do it. They're not juggling work. They're at home recovering, whether it's a rotator cuff, ACL, total knee. You can load them up with exercises because they need to do mobilization. They need to do quad work. They need to do, getting the knee extended. Yeah, no doubt. I don't give rotator cuff a whole lot of home program right off the bat. Those 0 to 6 weeks, I've heard some really interesting research, mixed bag of outcomes. You don't even need to do anything. In those first 6 weeks. I've had some docs where they don't even have them come in until 6 weeks.
Yeah. I'll send you that article. I got that. Heard that on PT Inquest. Very interesting article. But I'll give them pendulum, and I'll give them a ball to squeeze. I'll give them elbow. Flexion, extension, supination, pronation, a scap squeeze. I love a good scap squeeze with that, and walking, just get outside, get sunlight on you a little bit. I think that's good because you got to sit upright for a month. It sucks. You're in pain. Shoulder's painful. It's probably one of the most painful post-surgical surgeries that we see. I'd say is a rotator cuff repair.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. So the overarching question here is: the home exercise program just as important as what you do in the clinic? Is it more important? Is it less important?
It's a good question. I think it's important. I think it comes second fiddle to what we do in the clinic together. You know, the constant feedback you get in the intensity of exercise prescription that we get. You know, of course, you and I share this feeling. I feel like that's the biggest skill we have, is prescribing a load and exercise in a professional manner too. And they can't get that when they're home and we can't see them and talk to them and about how they're going through it, kind of thing. What do you think?
Oh, I agree. You know, you have those people that, you know, they're not doing their home exercises.
Yeah.
And you know, they're getting better, and they're getting better at a rate that you would expect. And then you wonder, it's like, okay, if you were doing your home exercises, you know, how would that change? Would it be the same rate? Would it actually be too much? Would it have, you know, sped them along? So you never know.
Yeah.
But, you know, so for them, yeah, you know, I would say the clinic is more important. But again, let's take it back to that, you know, once a week patient. You know, for them, that home routine is so much more important. Because you come in, we'll look at how you're doing, we'll give you something to do. And if you don't do it between, you know, now and next week, we're not going to have made much improvement.
Yeah.
So for them, I'd say it's more important to do that routine at home.
You know, I know some incredible therapists who prescribe huge home programs though, and really say, you know, hey, come back in 2 weeks, do these 3 exercises for rotator cuff tendinopathy, you know, and if you don't feel better, then probably should do the next step and increase your frequency or something along those lines. So there's a lot of different scenarios with it.
I mean, you know, you've heard of the throwers 10, right?
I mean, the throwers 12, 13, 14.
So John had a throwers 25.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, he
I have a bone to pick with that. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was all high school kids, and it was usually in the summer, or you know, they weren't able to really play anyway. So it was perfect because then they had something to do, you know, at practice or while they weren't playing baseball. So it was almost like, hey, just fill this time in with the exercises instead. And it was really effective, you know, because you can give it to them versus, you know, trying to tell my mom to do 25 exercises, or hell, telling me or my wife to do 25 exercises. Like, we ain't got time for that. But those kids do.
I know. I got a young high school quarterback who's an incredible young athlete, and he asked me about shoulder prevention, and then I told him about the throwers 10, and I texted it to him, and I was revisiting it, and I looked at it, I'm like, you know what? Some jabroni just said, I'm going to make a very general strength program and give one exercise for every muscle in the shoulder and in the shoulder girdle. And then, I mean, I don't think it is specific to shoulder strength. It's a general strengthening program, but I don't know that it's the bee's knees when it comes to throwers, you know?
Yeah. I would say for the injuries that we were seeing, absolutely. Is it going to prevent? If I take somebody with a healthy shoulder and I have them do that, could it make them a better thrower? Could it prevent that? Maybe. And that's the thing about prevention programs. How many kids need to, you know, be involved in a prevention program to save one injury from happening? It's usually like thousands or even hundreds of people who have to go through in order to prevent one injury. So you can ask yourself, is it worth the time, energy and money spent? But, you know, for those kids that we had with, you know, shoulder, elbow pathologies, we loaded them up pretty well with their home routine, and they did great with it.
Sure. Now, things like FIFA 11 plus or ACL prevention, that's awesome. You can call that a home program. That's kind of a very specified warm up, you know, before a practice or a game like activity, but that's an awesome thing to do for exercise.
Agreed. They're already kind of plugged in for you, so you just hand them the program.
Yeah, for sure. So, Daniel, I'll ask you this question. Do you provide any kind of tools when you do find that one gym rat who has a surgery and they want to go? They're doing everything they can to get back, to get their outcome fast.
Yeah.
Do you ever give them any like at home tools to do a home program?
What do you mean by tools?
Like, like if someone had a hand wrist injury, you
equipment?
give them putty or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
give something
So
like
I mean,
that.
right now, my I have one ACL athlete, and again, I'm on a very low volume practice, but she has my BFR system. She has my monkey feet.
Monkey
I mean,
foot.
even all my athletes, or I mean, all my patients, I have a whole gym in their house for them to use. But again, it's a different model. Yeah, TheraBands, and we actually started a sales program. John realized one day how much money is walking out the door in TheraBands.
Woo!
And so we just started a simple, sales, clinical sales, and we can even have an episode about that.
Yeah.
That was something that I took with me when I went to Nashville, was I took a program like that. So yeah, you got to give them what they need, certainly.
Yeah. So I've given out putty sometimes if we got someone that's had a stroke or some sort of tendon injury or a wrist fracture. I'll give them putty, and then they trade it in for the next, dense putty as time goes on.
Yeah.
Something I love to give for homework is timed isometrics. I think that is awesome. Like for painful, stiff joints, not just the knee, like quad set, but for the shoulder, IR, ER, extension, the neck.
Oh yeah.
I really like. That's something you don't need any tools.
Very simple.
Yeah, very, very simple. Yeah. And you can really start to build some good capacity at home with those too.
Yeah. So I guess the theme today is the home exercise important? Depends.
Yeah.
Keep it simple unless you don't need to.
And
change it up. Keep it the same unless you need to change it up. It can go anyway.
I think that's the importance of our jobs, and that's kind of, we are different things to different people, and I think we have to kind of feel out each person. And, you see this person's, showed up late for their equipment. They're slow and they're generally lazy, and so I'm probably not going to give them 5 or 6 exercises to do. So, but yeah, that well-trained athlete, or a veteran, an Army veteran, those guys are savages at home with their home exercise. So I love those guys. But yeah, I think you're right with your summary though. Yeah, all things to all people.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else on the topic, or is that about it?
No, I think that's all things home program there.
Yeah, I agree. That was a good one.
Cool.
Awesome. Right, so we'll see everybody back again next week. Thank you for listening. Oh, hit subscribe. If you're still listening, hit subscribe. Whether you're watching on Apple, YouTube, on Spotify, get us some subs.
Hit it, Mom. Hit it down there, Mom.
Share, if you listen to this in your clinician, share us with your colleagues.
Yep, that's helpful for us. So awesome, guys. We will see you next week. Bye.